Welcome to our class. So before we start, let's have a short recap which is related in our lesson for today. So, are you familiar with the guessed gibberish? Okay, so this will be our game for today. So I have here two pictures and try to guess the one word that describes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is typhoon. So the necktie and the phone, typhoon. Okay, next. How about this one? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if your answer is lightning, that's correct. Okay, live plus T plus morning minus more. Next one. How about this? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to answer. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if your answer is a weather map, you're correct. Okay? So what do you think was our lesson for today? So if your answer is hydrometeorological hazard, so you're correct. Okay? So as you can see in our map, we have different hazards which is related to our climate or weather. So first we have La Nina, thunderstorm, flood, El Nino, flash flood, and coastal storm surges. And all of these, and even the typhoon, and all of these are under hydrometeorological hazards in the Philippines. So what do we mean by hydrometeorological hazard? So this is a process or phenomenon of atmospheric, hydrological, or oceanographic nature that may cause loss of life, injury, or other health impacts, property damage, loss of livelihoods and services, social and economic disruption, or environmental damage. So any hazards that is related with our atmosphere, okay, related with the water and ocean, so that is under hydrometeorological hazards. So here are the examples of hydrometeorological hazards. So we have the typhoon, thunderstorm, flood, tsunami or storm surge, La Nina, and El Nino. So hydrometeorological hazards also have the conditions that can lead to other hazards such as landslides, fire, it could lead to fire. We also have plagues. We also have epidemics, and even in the transport and dispersal of toxic substances and volcanic eruption. So again, these are the other hazards that could came from hydrometeorological hazards. Okay? Now, what are the signs of impending hydrometeorological hazards? First is a tropical cyclone, typhoon, or hurricane. So this is an intense circular storm originates over warm tropical oceans, and it is characterized by low atmospheric pressure, high winds, and heavy rain. So there is some classification of tropical cyclones. I know you, as most of you already heard the different classifications. So first one, we have a tropical depression. So wherein if we will categorize it as a tropical depression, the wind speed less than 64 km per hour. So there is a low pressure area forming over warm seas and oceans and merging a thunderstorm. So we also have a tropical storm wherein the wind speed of it is at 64 to 118 km per hour. It takes a more than definite circular form as the wind rotates around the center. And then the third one is a typhoon. So when are you going to consider that as a typhoon? So if the wind speed is greater than 118 km per hour. So as you can see, we are determining the wind speed, and categorizing the different types of or categories of tropical cyclones. But all of these are tropical cyclones. Okay. So in the typhoon, so maybe you heard the word eye, no, yung mata ng typhoon or yung bagyo. So the eye of the typhoon is formed referring to a relatively calm area at the center surrounded by the spinning winds. So again, if that eye of the typhoon comes to your area, so probably you might not experience a severe heavy rain, no? Because that is the calmest area, and around of it, so there will be a heavy rains. Now we also have a weather forecast. So it is a scientific estimate of future weather condition. So again, scientific estimate, no? So wherein a weather condition is a state of the atmosphere at a given time expressed in terms of the most significant variables. Yeah, so usually the people who do the weather forecast are the experts, no, for the hydrometeorological hazards, or here in PHIVOX, no. So what agency or government, okay, or offices are studying or monitoring the weather? So we have the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or what we call PAGASA. So wherein, again, they are the one who monitor the weather conditions, different tropical cyclones, no? And especially in the Philippines, cloudiness, rainfall, and wind are the weather parameters with significant variation. So they monitor the status of clouds, rainfall, and the wind. And also, therefore, this is the interest to the forecast users. So yun po yung 3 factors na chine-check nila sa weather forecast, no? So we have cloudiness, rainfall, and wind. So sa GMA naman, si Mang Tani naman, ano? But ngayon nasa GMA na si Kuya Kim. Now, how is a weather forecast made? So weather forecasting is done by meteorologists. He or she must know about the existing weather conditions over a large area. So the accuracy of forecast decision is based on forecasting tools known as the weather map. So the tool is what we call weather map, and only a meteorologist is the one who will forecast it. Okay. Weather map. So this is what a weather map looks like. So it displays the air pressure. So the H and low L here. So those are the air pressure, wind, temperature, humidity distribution trends at the various atmospheric rates. These are the examples. So we have 2 forms of weather map. Okay. So, 2 forms, namely the surface map and the upper air map. So they are both weather map po, no? So what's the difference between the upper air map or the surface map and the upper air maps? So this is an example of an upper air weather maps wherein it differs from a surface weather map because surface weather conditions are plotted on a map of constant altitude, normally at sea level. Upper air weather conditions are plotted on the maps of constant air pressure. So if that weather map contains or focus on the air pressure, so that is the upper air maps. Okay, and so weather forecasting also comprises 5 steps as follows. Before we go here, let's have first the again, 5 steps of weather forecasting. We have observation. So wherein the meteorologists forecast weather decisions through surface observation at least every 3 hours over land and sea, and upper stations at least every 12 hours. So they are different in the time they will observe it. Okay, so upper air station at least every 12 hours, and for the surface observation, surface weather map at least every 3 hours over land and sea. So what are the tools that they are using? So they use meteorological satellites, geostationary, and polar orbiting. So when they take pictures of the cloud imagery of the atmosphere, and these satellites take pictures of the cloud formation of the Earth every hour and continually, respectively. They also use weather radars, wherein they use this to track the position of the atmosphere within the radar range. So a numerical weather prediction is fed to the computer, which analyzes data as programmed and makes a time integration of physical equation. Okay. Next one, we have collection and transmission of weather data. So wherein after observation, data are condensed into coded figures, symbols, and numerals, and are transmitted via radiophone, teletype, facsimile machine, or telephone to designated collection center for further transmission to the central forecasting station. So for example, the weather satellite images are transmitted to receiving stations on the ground, while radar measurements are transmitted through a local communication network to a forecast center. So those are the collection and transmission weather data. And after the transmission, we have the plotting of weather data. So observations on land and sea are plotted on charts of surface or mean sea level, which are prepared 4 times a day. So once the coded messages have been received, they are decoded, and each set of observation is plotted over the respective areas or regions in symbols or numbers on weather charts. So observations of radio sound, theodolite, aircraft, and satellite wind are plotted on the top level charts that are prepared twice daily. Yeah, so all of these are plotted, no? And the fourth one, analysis of weather maps, satellite and radar imagery, and other data. So the current weather map are analyzed through different weather charts, namely the surface MSL chart, wherein the data plotted on the weather map are analyzed isobarically. So this means the same atmospheric pressure at different places are interconnected with a line taking into consideration the direction of the wind. We also have upper air charts, wherein the data plotted on this weather map are analyzed using a streamline analysis or the numerical weather prediction model output. Okay, so the computer plotted weather maps are analyzed manually so that weather systems like cyclones, anticyclones are located. And the last one is the formulation of the forecast. So upon completion of the review of all available meteorological information or data, the preparation of forecast follows. So the first and one of the preliminary steps is to determine the position of the various weather system and the actual weather over a given area as accurately as the data permits. Okay? Now, so that's for the cyclone or tropical cyclone. Okay, next let's have the thunderstorm. So what do we mean by a thunderstorm? So thunderstorms occur when layers of dry, moist air rise to the colder region of the atmosphere in a broad, rapid updraft. So this is a powerful, short-lived weather disturbance, almost always associated with lightning, thunder, dense clouds, heavy rains, or hail, and fast roaring winds. So this is an example of a process how the thunderstorm formed. Here. So wherein the layers of the dry moist air rise to the colder regions of the atmosphere in a broad updraft. Okay. Now we have 3 stages of thunderstorm. So first one is the cumulus stage. So wherein the sun hits the Earth's surface during the day and warms the air around it. Okay? And the second one, we have the mature stage. So mature stage wherein the cumulus cloud becomes very large, where the water therein becomes large and heavy, and raindrops begin to fall through the cloud when the rising air can no longer hold them up. And then the third stage is the dissipating stage. So this is what we call the perspiration. No? So, ayan. After 30 minutes, thunderstorm begins to dissipate. This occurs when the downdrafts in the cloud begins to dominate over the updraft. So since warm moist air can no longer rise, cloud droplets can no longer form. So those are the 3 stages of thunderstorm. Now another hazard we have here is a flood and flash flood. So flood is a high water stage in which water overflows its natural or artificial banks onto normally dry land, such as river, inundating its floodplain. So this is a flood. And so flood, what are the effects of flood? No? So human well-being range from unqualified blessings to catastrophe. So that's the effects. And we have also different types of floods: inland flooding, flash flood. So once we say inland flooding, this is a technical name for ordinary flooding that occurs in inland. Okay? So hundreds of miles from the coast. So that is an inland flooding. Flash flood are caused by heavy rain or the sudden release of water over a short period of time. So the name flash refers to their fast occurrence and also to their raging torrents of water that move with a great speed. So flash floods are also caused by heavy precipitation in a short period of time. So that is the dissipation of precipitation. Usually less than 6 hours. And then we also have the river flooding. It occurs when water levels in river, lakes, and streams rises and overflow onto the surrounding banks, shores, and neighboring land. So that is a river flooding. We also have the coastal flooding here. So from the word coastal, so here it is the inundation of land areas along the coast by the seawater. Okay, and then we have the urban flooding that we usually encountered. So what's the cause of urban flooding? So when there is a lack of drainage in the urban city or area, so that's the urban flooding. Okay, so we have these different types of floods. Next is the storm surge. Storm surge is also known as daluyong ng bagyo. daluyong ng bagyo in the Philippine system, wherein the irregular sea level rise during a tropical cyclone or bagyo, of course. So when the tropical cyclone reaches the coast, powerful winds force the ocean water over the coastal low-lying areas, which can lead to flooding. Usually, it happened here in the Philippines, the storm surge, unlike with the tsunami. Okay? So pag-asa takes many technological consideration into account when forecasting the negative impacts of a storm surge. So for storm surge prone communities, the most important considerations are the strength of the tropical cyclone, the height of the surge, and the community located in the low-lying area. Ayan, so these are the storm surge color-coded warning system. So if this is in red already, so you have to, meaning the storm surge is catastrophic, 3 meters above. So there is a significant threat to life, so mandatory po evacuation is enforced. So if it is an orange alarm, so meaning storm surge is expected, so all marine activities must be cancelled, follow evacuation guidelines from local authorities. And for the yellow alert, so the storm surge is possible. Okay, so you have to stay away from the coast or beach. And then green, no alert, no action required. Okay. And the last two is the El Nino and La Nina. So once we say El Nino, meaning little boy or Christ child in Spanish. So El Nino was originally recognized by a fisherman off the coast of the South America in 1600. So this is a short history, no, with the appearance of unusually warm water in the Pacific Ocean. So the name was chosen based on the time of the year, which happened during around December, and then during which this warm water events tended to occur. So El Nino refers to the large-scale ocean atmosphere climate interaction linked to periodic warming in sea surface temperature across the central and east central equatorial Pacific. So that is for the El Nino. And so this is the El Nino, the pathway. No? So extreme climatic conditions are characterized by El Nino phenomena. So there is a high temperature rises with a little rainfall, and extremely heavy rainfall occurs at the opposite end. So according to the Philippines Department of Health, El Nino affects health such as diseases related to water scarcity or shortage like diarrhea and skin diseases. So there is also a red tide blooms, also known as a paralytic shellfish poisoning, and disorders associated with high temperatures such as heat cramps, heat exhaustion, exertional heat injury, and heat stroke. Sobrang init po yun sa El Nino condition. No? So as you can see, North America experience warmer. There's a warmer winter here. Okay? And Australia. And then the warm water moves here. So it can bring drought here. Okay. Now, La Nina, it means a little girl in Spanish. La Nina is also sometimes called El Viejo. So, or anti-El Nino. So, simply called cold event. Taglamig naman. Okay. So, La Nina episodes represent periods of below average sea surface temperature. So, across the east central equatorial Pacific, global climate La Nina impacts tend to be opposite those of El Nino impacts. So, in the tropic, ocean temperature variation in La Nina also tend to be opposite of those El Nino. So, here, okay, global climate La Nina impacts tend to be those of all El Nino impacts. So, there's an opposite lang naman po na El Nino. No? Ayan, here. So, La Nina is a weather phenomena characterized by unusually cold ocean temperature. Okay, in the equatorial Pacific, which causes increased number of tropical storm in the Pacific Ocean. According to the Philippine Department of Health, La Nina affects health through disease related to contaminated water due to flooding, such as acute gastroenteritis, typhoid fever, cholera, and hepatitis A. So this is related to wading in floodwaters contaminated with urine of infected animals such as leptospirosis. Also, we have the disease brought by mosquitoes such as dengue and malaria. Accidents and injuries such as contusions, lacerations, and fractures and electrocution could also be happen here. No? Yan. So, tag-ulan naman po ito. Okay? Yan. So, again, those are the hydrometeorological hazards. Okay? Yan. So, do you have any questions or clarifications? If you have, you may chat in the email or you may comment here. Okay? So, thank you for participating and listening. Have a great day, everyone.